Agency sounds empowering. In TESOL, it's often reduced to choice, independence, or visible participation. Let learners choose the topic, let them work independently, get them to speak more. Those things may matter, but agency is broader than that. It is more relational, more contextual, and more connected to the conditions in which learning and teaching actually happen. So in this episode, I want to look at agency in TESOL, what it means, why it matters, and why it applies not only to learners, but actually also to teachers. The key point I'm going to talk about is this. Agency is not just action. It is the sense of ownership and control that learners and teachers have over learning and teaching. Now, learner agency is often defined as the ownership and control language learners have in relation to their learning. Teacher agency is also defined in a similar way, the ownership and control teachers have in relation to their teaching. So, this is not only about learners doing more, it is about how people act within classroom, institutions, policies, technologies, histories, and identities. Now, agency has several important features. We are going to look at some of the key ones. First, agency means seeing people as active decision makers, not passive recipients. In a classroom, that might mean a learner choosing how to approach a writing task, or a teacher adapting a lesson because the class needs something different. Second, agency is affected by external conditions. It can be supported or constrained by the curriculum, high-stakes tests, institutional expectation, digital tools, or the classroom culture. And third, agency is shaped by experience. Learners and teachers draw on their past educational histories, their present learning or teaching conditions, and their future hopes. So agency develops in context. Also, agency should not be reduced to visible action. This actually connects closely to our episode on engagement. Just as engagement is not always easy to see, agency is not always loud, obvious, or active in the way teachers expect. A learner who speaks a lot may be showing agency, but a learner who chooses to remain silent will also be acting agentively, right? So depending on why they are silent, that can be different. Silence is not automatically passivity. That is an important warning for TESOL teachers. We should be careful not to assume that participation always means agency or that quietness always means a lack of it. So we need to look at whether learners' choices and efforts align with their interests, values, and beliefs, and then we can decide. So the question is not really about, are learners active? Perhaps a better question is, do learners have meaningful room to act in ways that matter to them? Agency is also closely connected to autonomy, but the two should not simply be collapsed into one another. Autonomy is often about learners taking responsibility for their learning. Agency includes autonomy, but it is broader. It also involves purposeful action, will, freedom, and choice. So this connects with our episode on learner autonomy, but agency gives us a wider lens. It asks not only whether learners can work independently, but whether they can initiate, contribute, position themselves, and act meaningfully within a learning environment. What might this look like in TESOL practice? Here are some examples of learning spaces where agency can be developed through interaction and exploration. One example is group work in writing classes. Learners might be given options to discuss and decide a writing task. They might work out the division of tasks, group rules, and approaches to peer support. That is not just like group work for the sake of group work, if you see what I mean. It creates a space where learners make decisions and take responsibility together. Another example is online interaction between learners in different countries, for example, using English as a shared foreign language to discuss topics of interest and solve communication problems with the resources they have. That matters because agency is not only classroom participation, as we said, it can involve learners using language to pursue interests, to manage communication and shape their identity beyond a teacher's immediate control. So here are 3 principles that we can use for spaces that support learner autonomy. First is that tasks should be participatory, collaborative, and exploratory. Learners need to access to opportunities where they can make decisions, investigate, and perhaps interact. The second one is learning spaces can include authentic interactions, materials, and tools. The aim is not only to practice language, but to notice and use language in meaningful ways. Third, multilingual resources should be treated as assets. Learners' full linguistic repertoire, including shared first language, can support interaction and learning. That point connects actually with our episode on translanguaging, because agency is strengthened when learners' linguistic resources are not treated only as interference, but also as part of how they think, communicate, and participate. The key point we can take away from this episode is that learner agency cannot be prompted without teacher agency. Teachers also need ownership and control. They work within changing curricula, assessment, pressures, new technologies such as AI, and wider social issues such as native speakerism and inequality. In practice, teacher agency might mean adapting an imposed curriculum so it better fits within learners' needs. It might mean responding thoughtfully to AI use in writing tasks rather than only policing it. It might mean resisting deficit views of multilingual learners, or it might mean making space for professional discussion with colleagues where policy or assessment pressures feel limiting. Scholars in the field often discuss collective teacher agency. Teachers may need to act together, share concerns, form reading groups, create professional dialogue, and challenge difficult working conditions and build a stronger sense of a shared professional identity. So agency in TESOL is not just about asking learners to do more, it's about creating conditions where learners and teachers can act with purpose, ownership, and responsibility. So let me end with our main takeaway. Agency in TESOL is not simply choice, participation, or independence. It is about whether learners and teachers have meaningful room to act within the realities they face. For learners, that means real opportunities to participate, explore, use resources, and shape learning. For teachers, it means professional space to make informed decisions, respond to change, and act with others. If you use the word agency in your own teaching, let me know in the comments below, what does it actually look like in your classroom? And if you want to follow this up, I'd recommend our episode on learner autonomy because it connects very closely to ownership and responsibility in learning. Our episode on engagement is also a useful companion. Just like engagement, it's not always visible in the ways teaching expect. Thanks for watching.